Welcome back to the White Squirrel YouTube channel, podcast, whatever you want to call it. I'm Josh. I'm a mortgage broker. That's really what I do. What I primarily do, my primary business is I'm a mortgage broker. Today we're going to talk about ADHD, poverty and obesity, and how all of those things kind of create this cycle in somebody's life, or they did create this cycle in my life. Now, talking about poverty is kind of weird because there's never been a time in my life when I've been truly impoverished. So I don't want you to get this as if I'm poor mouthing or I don't know what I'm trying to say. But anyway, there was times in my life when my wife and I had 4 kids and I had a low income and I was supporting a family of 6, and it was hard to live with what I considered, first world poverty, ADHD, obesity, and I think it was turning into diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and I didn't realize it at the time. But anyway, when you put all of those things together, that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. But let me just reintroduce myself. I know that you could have been watching me for a while, so you might know all of this. But my primary business is hiring mortgage loan officers. I am always looking to bring new mortgage loan officers onto my team, into Nexa Mortgage. I work for Nexa Mortgage, and so I'm looking for mortgage loan officers all across the country, which means that because I've got mortgage loan officers in many states, I can help you by pointing you to my mortgage loan origination partners anywhere in the country. And so if you're looking for a mortgage loan, you need to refinance here in North Carolina, call me directly. Anywhere else, I'd love to help you get connected with one of my loan partners. If you're a mortgage loan originator and you're like, Josh, I stumbled onto this channel because I've got ADHD. Well, let me tell you how seriously my ADHD is. I have a mortgage loan origination license. I've got a real estate license. I've got a general contractor's license. I really love making YouTube videos. I enjoy more than anything helping other loan officers. I love coaching basketball and playing basketball, and all of those things are, you know what? I like to eat out. And so I do these YouTube videos about restaurants in Hickory, North Carolina, and living and eating in Hickory, North Carolina. So when I talk about my ADHD and how it has me going a million different miles at different places, and right here in my neighborhood, there's white squirrels, and you say, Josh, geez, you've gone everywhere. Yeah. My brain, it's always like that. Today, we're going to talk about something very specific. We're going to talk about ADHD and how hard it is if you're not in a good economic position to eat healthy and to be healthy, and how obesity and poverty and ADHD can really be connected and really just kind of explode into a very unhealthy lifestyle. I've got grapes and strawberries and tomatoes and salmon out here because at this point in my life, I can eat healthy. But that's not always been the case. And with ADHD and that struggle, it's really hard to not. And you say, Josh, you're fat now, you're obese now. Yeah, I know, but I'm in a journey. I'm changing. That's why I've been doing these videos. I take my shirt off at the end of them. I'm not going to take my shirt off at the end of this one today because it was just last week that I did it. And my body hasn't changed much. In fact, my sugar, it was 147 yesterday. I've been doing this every Wednesday about the same time. My weight was 288.4. I don't know if that's down from last week. I know my sugar's a little up, but I knew last week that my sugar was unusually low. It was 112. It was because I had barely eaten in the last 24 hours. And so anyway, so I'm on this journey. I know I'm not there yet. I know I've got a ways to go, but I'm growing. I'm changing. Obesity and poverty are so connected. Healthy food, they tell you all the time, eat foods that are just one thing, like a potato or a grape or a strawberry or a piece of salmon. Eat things that are natural, not things that you have to turn the box over and read the ingredients. But you know what? The things you have to turn the box over and read the ingredients, they're so insanely much cheaper. And as we're talking about obesity and poverty and ADHD, and we're putting all those together, poverty causes us to work a lot. And we work sometimes jobs that we don't enjoy and we don't like. And poverty causes us to really be kind of stressed. Our cortisol, those levels go up. They kind of cause more stress. They cause more ADHD there, or they kind of amplify that ADHD and that inability for us to focus. And then when we hyper focus, we forget to eat. And then that brings us to the evening where we're exhausted and we're tired and we just want to sit down and watch TV. And you know what we want to do? We want to sit down and watch TV and eat some crap that comes out of a box that's cheap enough that we could afford, because what's our drug of choice? Well, meth is too expensive. Cocaine's too expensive. Not that we would be into that anyway, but our drug of choice that we can afford is sugar. And they put sugar in every box, everything that you like. Chips are full of sugar, Doritos and boxes of Oreos. You might not be able to afford a $10 package of grapes, but you can afford a $3 small pack of Oreos. I say small, but maybe it's $4 now, whatever. But you can sit there and eat those, or they've got the Great Value brand Oreos that you can get for $2.98, and you can just sit there and eat those, and that raises your sugar, raises your obesity, kind of puts you back in this mode where you wake up the next morning and you feel bad. Last Wednesday when I told you that my sugar was 112, it was shocking how much more energy and ability to move and run that I had on the basketball court. And or have. I'm still trying to eat right. And eating right is changing my body, my lifestyle. Everything's changing. But if I didn't have some margin in my life, I just couldn't afford that. And so I find myself thinking right now, Josh, if somebody's in poverty, you're not really giving them a solution, because poverty causes you to have higher stress, work in a job you don't love, come home, you're exhausted, you want to grab something cheap on the whole way home like Taco Bell and Cookout and McDonald's. Those aren't really cheap anymore, but they're less expensive than... My wife and I were doing these videos, and I told you a minute ago, about eating out life and living and eating in Hickory, North Carolina. We ate at this place recently. My entree was a turkey leg and some kind of grain. It wasn't rice. It was this. It was good. It was very tasty. It was a fried turkey leg with a marmalade dressing or something on it, sauce on it. And it was good. Nothing wrong with it. Good meal. But it was $30. $30 for one turkey leg and this little, what do you call it? A little pallet of what was not rice, but it was similar to rice. It's just not affordable. My wife and I always talk about, there's those restaurants. There are those restaurants where you pay too much The money goes up and the portions go down. And I've always thought, wow, it's so dumb that you pay more money and you get a smaller portion. But you know what? When you're eating healthy, you eat a smaller portion. And eating healthy is expensive. It's so much more expensive. And so I feel like here I am. I'm about to wrap this video up. I'm almost done. And I'm thinking, Josh, what are the solutions? I don't know. Maybe it's just knowledge. But ADHD, it's a poverty of attention. Obesity and poverty go together. Our ADHD kind of all puts that together. And you know, another thing is ADHD is more undiagnosed in lower income communities. And so we have this cycle of poverty adds stress, and stress causes us to eat poorly, and it causes us to sleep poorly. It makes our ADHD worse. It causes us to gain weight, leading to obesity, and obesity causes you to be tired more, and the more tired you are, the lazy is not the right word. We always have a lot of energy. So what do we do about that? How do we solve that? What's the cure? I don't know. Here I am coming to the end of this video, and I always want to offer hope and offer a solution. Maybe the solution is just knowing it. Maybe it's being aware that yes, eating healthy is more expensive. And maybe it's just this mental change. I remember thinking, oh man, I don't want to go to these restaurants where I spend $50 a plate or $30 a plate and I'm still hungry afterwards. I'm not telling you to go spend $50 a plate or $30 a plate if you're struggling financially. What I am telling you is maybe the knowledge first will help. And we kind of make this shift in our brain and we buy better, healthier stuff and we buy it at a smaller volume. And maybe better, healthier stuff at a smaller volume won't be so much more expensive. I know it is. And I know that what I'm saying is not accurate. But we have to make that shift in our brain first. We have to just say to ourselves, all right, I'm going to buy healthier, better quality food. And I'm going to eat it. And I'm going to eat smaller portions. And that is going to help my stress. It's going to help my ability to function, my ability to move and do things. It's going to, hey, instead of watching television and eating a bag of chips, take one little handful of grapes and take a walk around the block. And as you're combining those things and getting outside, I think it's going to help your obesity. Maybe it won't help your poverty, but I'll tell you what, it's a cycle. The more obese you are, the harder it is to get that job that you really want. I know that that's wrong and that's not the way it should be, but it's just truth. Appearance matters. So what's my encouraging word? How do I say this? Just get it in your head. Understand that all of these things are tied together. And so you have to just keep taking steps and doing everything you possibly can to move yourself out of this challenge, this struggle. And they're all connected. And hey, let's think about this. And if you are a parent who is living in poverty and you've got young children and you're going, how do I figure out if they need help? Look for those social things, those affordable government things. Talk to their teachers, be involved, find out, ask questions, help them figure out ways to study. Maybe next time. I remember my kids having to write their spelling words 5 times. And I remember when I had to write spelling words 10 times or 20 times. I couldn't spell anything. I struggled so much with spelling. But when my mom would quiz me and she would test me, how do you spell this? And I'd spell it and she'd call out the words and I'd spell them and she'd tell me. I'd get so bored because my brain, I just couldn't sit there and do that. But so what's an option? Maybe get out and do it in the backyard. Maybe walk the dog as you go over the spelling words. Maybe have these conversations over a board game where you say, okay, you got to spell one word before every turn. Maybe do it over a card game. Look for ways to activate that child's brain, and let's end this cycle that just continues and continues. Okay, that's it. There's connections between obesity and poverty and attention deficit disorder, and I just wanted to give you some ideas and some tips about how to possibly fight out of that cycle.